have cell phones silent or off or whatever, please. I don't think there's really any need to do an introduction, but we have the Standard Bank Proteas national captain, Faf du Plessis, take questions on his return to South Africa. Just one other thing that you might have picked up on, Maria Erasmus is standing in his 50th Test Championship Lords today. We'll be putting out a little release on that once we finish. Okay, please fire ahead. I think we know who everybody is.
Faf, can you just give me some learning curves that you had on this one?
I think the obvious one would be the test matches. The way we've been playing. Okay, well, let's get to one-day cricket last. The test matches, expected it to be tough. I think the difference we find definitely this time around to before, we find the conditions a little bit more towards the spinners being obviously more spinners friendly. The last time I went to Sri Lanka and even the press conference before the tour was the anticipation of the wickets will spin, but it will be more similar to what we faced 4 years ago, and definitely in Gaul that wasn't the case. Last time we went there, seamers were very successful. I remember Dale and Morna doing very well, and this time around, obviously more spinning bowlers getting wickets and stuff. So the learning is that perhaps our style of trying to beat teams in India would need to change a little bit. The way of playing three fast bowlers and reverse swing and pace, which has always been our weapon. That's the learning for me. Even after the second test, which I said after the post match that obviously from a team selection point of view I thought we got it wrong. The thinking is that they play spin well, so you're always hesitant to just load your team with spinners because they grow up in conditions where they play spin all the time. But still, it's still tougher to face the ball that's inconsistently spinning. So for me, if I had it over again, it would be the preparation and making sure that we perhaps look at the way that we try and what shots are successful. As you've seen that certainly the second test and even the guys that got runs, a sweep shot is very important in those conditions. And once you get through that initial 20 or 30 runs, it does get easier. And our batters just struggled with that. They struggled to get through that first part. Tianis and Temba showed us that if you get through it, the ball gets softer, the bowlers do get a little bit more tired, and then they're also human, and then you can take them on. And then one-day cricket, sorry, long answer. I'm really excited the style of one-day cricket we're playing at the moment. We're putting a lot of emphasis on the way that we play and how we want to play, and the vision that myself and Kibbo has on how we can win the World Cup. And I think you can see that the guys are playing an exciting brand of cricket. A few young faces, fearless cricket, and to beat Sri Lanka, when 3-0 when it was. Obviously the last game was a close game, but we did change our team to make a few opportunities. But to beat Sri Lanka, and Sri Lanka 3 out of 3 is no easy task, so very good effort.
I suppose a lot of us were surprised when Quinton was named the captain. Is that part of a succession plan, and are you still thinking of 2019 as maybe a last hurrah for you and some of the others, and will Quinton come into the mix?
There's a bit of both in that. We certainly felt that when Graham left, there was no real learning for young leaders in the team, opportunity to get 1 or 2 occasions where you can captain, where there's you're not the full-time captain, and you can use that opportunity to learn. And there's 2 or 3 young guys in the team that has got some leadership capabilities. Obviously, Aiden is one that it comes more natural to. But guys like Quinton, it's just about developing their personalities, their character. I feel someone like Quinton will grow a lot just by getting extra responsibility as captain. It doesn't mean that he might be captain in the future, or it might not mean that. It's just we see an opportunity for him to grow as a player, and captaining 2 games in Sri Lanka without me being there. When I do hopefully eventually come back, he'll be better off for it. He'll have a better understanding of what it's like to be a senior player in the team. Because as a player, it's easy to just focus on your own game, and when you're captain, you don't have that luxury. So this will teach him a different side of focusing on everything else. So I do think it's a nice opportunity for him to learn some new tricks about himself, and that's what I'm saying. For us, it's just growing the leaders in the team. Even someone like KG, he's still very young. He's got a lot to offer. I look at them and I see it's an opportunity for them to learn. Even when I go off the field, it's like, okay, Quinny, take over for the next. The obvious answer is Hashim and JP. They've done it for a long time, but it's about looking into the future.
If you look at the squad as a whole, the larger squad, do you think you have all the tools to win a World Cup in England in terms of death bowling, playing towards the end of an innings? Do you think you have all the tools necessary to win a World Cup?
I think we're starting to, between myself and the coach and the selection team, we're starting to answer quite a few of those questions. There is still one or two things that needs to happen over the next 6 months to a year. And I see that as a great opportunity, especially for the younger guys. The experienced players don't need more experience. It's about getting the younger guys that are in the team now. How can we get them as experienced as possible? So even if it meant that, through one or two games or series, as we rested key players, or if you can call them senior players in the team, which I don't like to do, but just to get those younger guys more game time, more experience, and on the odd occasion try and have a look at someone on the outside. I think certainly from answers to our questions, I'm really excited about our opening bowling combination, Kagiso and Lungi. That's very nice for us. They strike, they get wickets. We've got some nice young batters coming through, putting a little bit of pressure on the batting lineup. Obviously, with AB leaving the batting lineup, we're just playing around with the ideas of what's the best batting lineup, and that's why I moved to 4. I've batted at 3 the last 3 years of one-day cricket. So it's just playing around with one or two ideas to see what our best combinations will be. But as I said, there's still enough time for one or two things that is yet unanswered to happen.
Can you just give us a sense of Aidan's headspace on this tour? It's obviously been a tough time for him after that first year of Test cricket. The conversations you've had with him, just what kind of a mental space he's in, and then separate question, maybe a short answer. Do you think there's any chance of Dale and Vern for 2019? Is there any chance that they could feature in those games?
Aidan is in a good space. For a young guy who's going through a tough time, I can see that he's got a very mature head on his body, that he's understanding that it's part of cricket, part of going through the ups and downs. As you said, the first year everything was hunky-dory, and you go through these things. So conversations with him is you don't become a bad player overnight. Just use this as a learning curve, and he's really excited to try and figure out what needs to be done for him to become a better player. Obviously, he was disappointed not to try and keep fighting. But I said to him, I've been in your shoes, where it's been tough, and you keep fighting hard and you try and train harder and hit more balls, but it just feels like you're just taking a shovel and you're just making that hole a little bit deeper. So just give him a little break of 2 games, and then hopefully see if we can get him in for this last game. Second part of your question, Dale and Werner, of course they still got. Anyone can still put their name on that. That's why I said there's lots of time left. It's about trying to give guys game time. So that's going to be the challenge, where and when you fit in different players.
Faf, do you have a set plan over the next 15 plus ODIs of getting guys like Junior, Riza to play enough games so that they can say that they have to up their hand?
Yeah, that's exactly what my answer was. Risa, Aiden, Lungi, Vian, Heinrich Klaassen, all very exciting young players that we'll try and get them as much game time as possible. Even Junior, if there was an opportunity to do that. But Andile, The guys that are all exciting cricketers, but as I said earlier, just make sure that they can get as much experience, learn from every situation they get themselves into. Even the other night when we lost the game, you know, it's exciting to have young guys out in the middle, and even if they're making mistakes, it's about learning from them, and to have pressure opportunities. So I love the fact that we got tested the other night, and it'll be nice to see how we respond in the next game.
But for you, perhaps a little surprised that the pitches changed so dramatically from the Test series to the one days, and you know, I know that Angelo Matthews, I think, said that they're trying to get out of their comfort zone, and that must. I think some of us thought when you went off to Sri Lanka, like, what's the point of that for a World Cup in England? You know, that must be quite a bonus that maybe you weren't expecting.
Generally, one-day cricket wickets are a little bit, majority of the time on the safer side. It's Test cricket where, you know, the results get a lot quicker now. But one-day cricket, even when we went to India, we played really well. They beat them there. And I think they started the tour. I mean, the first pitch did spin a little bit, but we played the spin really well. Obviously chased a smallish total, but very aggressive towards the spinners. And then I think they realised that, you know, they're perhaps a little bit short-sighted, the fact that even if you prepare spinning pitches and you're still losing on them, you might as well prepare flat wickets and see how you can best prepare for a World Cup. And you have to have that vision for, I mean, obviously short series is also still important, but you have to have an eye on trying to make sure that you prepare your team best way possible for, which will be a World Cup in a year's time.
So did you basically get better preparation maybe in the one days than you thought?
No, the ball spun less, and if you take the two spinners that bowled in the Test match, they bowled the whole day. So in one-day cricket, they've got, you know, 3 or 4 overs, 5 overs, then they bring someone else on, and there's your part-time spinners is not as good as those 1 or 2 spinners. So the one offie that bowled leggies and googies was by far their best spinner in one-day cricket, but we felt that with other guys they were normal. So even when we started putting pressure on him and playing him better from the mistakes that we made in the Test, the other guys felt so much easier. And with, as I said, with the Test, Herath would bowl the one all day from the one side and Pereira the other side.
Right.
Perhaps just a test and a one-day question. Are you worried with Ashton's form for an extended period of time?
No, very excited to see what he did in the one days now. It was important for me to just see him free up a little bit and just play the hash innings that he, you know, we know the kind of player that he is, but I think as a batting unit, the message to them is to be fearless and to play with freedom and to release that fear of getting out, because I think that's our biggest hurdle. So it was evident to see that the way Hash played the last 2 or 3 one days, just taking the game to the bowlers, and good to see him getting some runs. So obviously from a Test match point of view, he would love to get some more runs, but you know, all our batters struggled there. It was tough, and especially when one bowler gets on top of you, you know, every time you walk in he's bowling and he doesn't stop bowling the whole day. So yeah, it was tough, but it was tough for a lot of our batters.
And just from the one-day point of view, we know that you like that all-rounders 7 and 8.
Yeah.
Is that in the one-day team? Is that the way to go? If maybe that you don't have the capabilities to fill the role?
For me, it's about trying to extend our batting lineup for as long as possible. If you wanted to play the way that I think we need to play to win it, then if you only play 7 batters, then if you lose 3 wickets up front, then it restricts you a little bit. So that's why there's obviously 2 or 3 or maybe 4 all-rounders in the country that will hopefully in 6 months' time we'll have 2 guys that would have said pick me and run with the 2 of them.
There's quite a couple of tests in between your one-day series as well. We've seen what Rest have done for JP. He's been firing with the likes like KG, who's all round, Quinton as well. Where do you see them rest in terms of that build-up to the World Cup?
No, it's a valid point. I think for JP the rest was important, but the biggest shift that I can see with JP is with the conversation we've had some real discussions on where his head needs to be, and I feel he's in a really good space with his head. The decisions he's making, as you can see, the way he's batting is positive, and it ties in exactly to that mantra that I'm talking about of being fearless when we bat. He's played exceptional this series. So yeah, possibly one of the reasons would be rest. But Cage, it's important to definitely try and rest him through the season. Last year, he had a very, very high workload, and that's obviously why he got injured. I also think KJ is smarter now. The way that he trains, he understands that he probably bowls like a machine, but he isn't a machine. So he's doing things a little bit differently. He's not bowling as much in the nets and stuff. So hopefully that won't be an issue again.
So,
Faf, in terms of Quinton, are you let him keep taking the toss, maybe?
I was thinking about it, yeah. But if I was a betting man, I would have bet that Quinton was going to win that toss after I've lost everything. I actually asked the manager if that's possible, if he can change the guy to the toss. But one-day cricket, it's not a problem. It's only in Test.
And just in terms of the Test series, you guys came off not playing when Sri Lanka had played. England are going to Sri Lanka later after having had a whole season. They're going to be playing one day as first, then Tests. Do you think it was maybe unfair on you guys to have the Test series first? And is that something you could?
It would be nice to have that, but once again, the conditions do change. I mean, I take it back to India. We played the one days and the T20s first, and we beat them in both. And then we're obviously under pressure on getting results, so they changed. The pitches were really tough. So it would be nice, but I don't think it makes that big a difference. When the conditions are that big a difference, your preparation doesn't really. I don't think it makes that huge amount of difference. I know that the guys trained for the first time in a long time, like the way that they did. They were at the HBC, and I think it was at Quinton where they try and emulate spin conditions as much as possible. But when you get over there and you face those kind of spinners, it's difficult to get that and try and do the same thing.
Lloyd?
Just a quick one on the shoulder. Do you miss any cricket with that? Is there any surgery or anything like that? Just give us a rundown of what's going on.
No surgery, luckily. Just a small tear. I don't know how to pronounce the muscle. The doctor at supraspinatus or something. Supraspinatus. But luckily there's no cricket for the next 7 weeks. So for me it's important to try and make sure that the shoulder gets very, very strong with all the cricket that's coming up. So it will be nice to play against them, but the biggest priority will try and make, even if it was 2 or 3 weeks extra, where I can just make sure I don't get back into cricket with still having a shoulder problem. Because last year I was under pressure in the Indian series after the surgery, obviously a big series. I didn't want to miss out on that, so I came back probably a little bit too soon, but luckily got through the season. So that now, no disrespect to Zimbabwe, but there's a lot of cricket coming up. Obviously Australia, Pakistan, Sri Lanka, and then the World Cup. So the long-term goal is the most important thing.
Yeah, Faf, just in terms of the season, it's going to be a bit of a downer compared to last summer. But what kinds of things can you look forward to, and how would you want the focus? Like, what would you want the focus to be on? Because it's only 5 tests, and like if we never see Sri Lanka again, that would be fine with most of us.
Okay.
Yeah, I got asked in the press about something AB said about Sri Lanka and holiday, so I'm not going to go there. Last year was probably my favourite Test cricket year that I've played in. To win those 2 big series back to back, the crowds were amazing. I think the public loved the style of cricket that was played. So obviously that was a really, really high in the year that we played, and I could feel that the people were really behind the team. I think Pakistan should not be underestimated. They're a very, very strong touring team with the seam capabilities that they have. And when you come to South Africa with a strong pace attack, you've got every chance of doing very well. As we know, spinners, we can try and nullify them, but there will always be assistance for seam bowlers, and they are the subcontinent team with probably the best seam attack around. So that will be a big challenge for us, and one that I'm really looking forward to. I think the obvious thing is one-day cricket will take a little bit of a focus because of the World Cup around. But I'm excited by that. I'm excited to see what unfolds.
Any more? Thank you everybody for your attendance.
Thank you.
Debbie at the back has got parking costs.